Chapter 4150. Then we'll avenge our boss. Yeah, we'll kill the person who killed our boss. What happens after you get your revenge? Qiao Fei asked slowly. Once again the room fell silent. Seeing that they couldn't answer, Qiao Fei slowly stood up and placed his hands on the table. His cold gaze swept over everyone. I will wait for her to come back until she comes back. Before she comes back, everyone must listen to my orders. My presence is equivalent to Yan's presence. Your salary and benefits will remain the same. Of course, if you don't want to and feel that the future isn't good enough, you can take the opportunity to leave. I won't make things difficult for you and will give you a pension. But you have to know that you've made a lot of enemies over the years. Once you leave, there will be no one to protect you. Think about the pros and cons. I won't force you. I only have one goal, and that is to protect Yan's life's work. After Qiao Fei finished speaking, the room was in an uproar. Young Master Qiao, you want to take over our organization? What? Is there anyone who doesn't like it? Qiao Fei sat back in his chair, his expression calm. No, that's not what I meant. It's just that you're a member of the Qiao family. I heard that your eldest brother, Qiao Mo, cut ties with the family, and your second brother, Qiao Nan, mysteriously disappeared in Thailand. There's also a rumor that you'll take over the family after the new year, so you. This person's meaning was obvious. In other words, Qiao Fei was the head of the Qiao family. If he took over the family, how could he take over the organization? This was against the rules of the underworld. How could Qiao Fei not understand this obvious meaning? He just chuckled. To me, nothing is more important than Yan. I don't care about the position of the head of the family. If I didn't want to wait for Yan, I wouldn't be interested in your organization. But I have to protect my woman. I'll say it again, you're free to come and go. But there's one thing, if you choose to leave now, you can't come back whether Lu Yan comes back or not, because I don't like people who don't stand firm. The dozen or so people present looked at each other. They weren't idiots. Since Qiao Fei was authorized by Lu Yan, they didn't dare to underestimate him. So in the end the dozen people knelt on one knee and bowed. I'm willing to continue to serve young Master Qiao, just as I serve Queen Lu Yan. Qiao Fei nodded in satisfaction after seeing their attitude. After the dinner party, he returned to Lu Yan's bedroom. Who would have thought that the all-powerful female demon king was actually a little princess in her heart? Lu Yan's bedroom was a pink princess room. It was really dreamy. The room was filled with light pink and all the dolls were pink. Hello Kitty. There were a few potted plants on the windowsill. They were extremely cute. It was obvious that they had been carefully cared for. The little Daisy looked even more petite and cute under the setting sun. Which girl didn't want to be a princess and live a carefree life? But fate was different. Lu Yan didn't want to be a killer or a mercenary, but sometimes she couldn't choose her own path. Standing in Lu Yan's study, Qiao Fei picked up a photo from the bedside table. His gaze was extremely gentle. Chapter 4151. It was a photo of Lu Yan on her 6th birthday. In the photo, Lu Yan was wearing a white gauze dress with 2 braids. There was also a red dot between her eyebrows. She was holding a big apple in her hand. Her smile was very sweet. The photo was taken by the professor. The background was a small town in Denmark. At that time, Lu Yan must have lived a carefree life with her father. If she could turn back time, she might prefer the peaceful life in the past. Qiao Fei took out the photo. He closed his eyes and kissed Lu Yan's childhood photo deeply. I'll wait here for you to come back. I'll wait until you come back. Young Master Qiao, the reactionary government of Syria sent an order. They need 10 people to participate in the war, 3 days, $300 million. I'm not taking it. $300 million isn't a small amount. We can send 10 people, the person said. Qiao Fei suddenly turned around. Your boss has trained you for many years not to send you to your deaths. We have never participated in the war, and we will in the future. Remember, this is my rule. Yes, young Master Qiao. No one expected the new boss to have such a strong attitude and aura, even though he didn't talk much. The key was that he had been with Lu Yan for too long and knew her personality and tricks too well. Although Lu Yan loved money, she wouldn't accept any order. She accepted the terrorists because she had a grudge against Ian and the others. But she would never participate in the war. After all, one had to know their limits. Qiao Fei believed that if Lu Yan was here, she would deal with it the same way. On the other side of the earth, in the distant underwater palace. To put it bluntly, The dark blue refrigerator was a huge transparent three-dimensional crystal coffin. The outside was made of crystal and the inside was a mysterious blue potion. It was said that people were put in when they were asleep or unconscious. They would stay in that state just like faking death. They wouldn't get sick or age just like Sleeping Beauty. Lu Yan didn't know how long she had been in there. Her subconscious was spinning in her body, as if she was locked somewhere and couldn't move. He seemed to have a dream. She dreamed of a cold place with walls everywhere. There were no doors or windows. She wanted to escape but she didn't have the strength. She was trapped helplessly in place. Dad, sister, Faye, I miss you so much. I miss you so much. Lu Yan screamed in her heart but she couldn't make a sound. Sea City, China Sky Blessing Court. Yang Myong made a lot of dumplings for dinner. The family of 4 sat together for dinner. I also packed some and froze them. Jishin, I'll cook them tomorrow morning and put them in a thermos. I heard that your sister will be going to the company soon so you can give them to her. She loves celery and pork. That's too much trouble, Mom. My sister can eat anything. Even if you have money you can't taste my cooking. What do you know? Keke, you're right. Okay, I'll bring it to her tomorrow morning. Jishin looked down at the news on his phone. Bella, you and Jishin shouldn't be so busy. Although work is important, you're not young anymore. You need to think about your children. I can help you take care of them while I'm still young. I know, Mom. Bella was already used to her mother-in-law's urging, so her expression was very calm. Mom, have you found the missing children in our neighborhood? Bella didn't know if the question was intentional or not. She glanced at Jingda's face and saw that he looked a little unnatural. Chapter 4152. I don't think so. Speaking of which, it's strange. How did the kids disappear all of a sudden? The police have been here several times asking about this and that. I don't know if they were targeted by kidnappers. Rich people's neighborhoods aren't safe. Yang Myong didn't seem to notice anything and was just chatting. Bella didn't say anything, but she saw that Jingda's expression was indeed different from usual. After you came back you rarely went out. How about I sign up your mom for a tour? You can go on a trip with her. Jishin was very filial. Ever since Jingda came back he had been calling him Dad. She called him very affectionately and would often buy new clothes and shoes for this father of hers. However, Bella felt that Jingda's attitude toward Jishin wasn't very affectionate. Compared to her mother-in-law's caring attitude toward her children, Jingda was still lacking. No, I don't want to go anywhere. Jishin, your dad hasn't gotten used to our family's financial situation. He just doesn't want to spend money. We appreciate your filial piety but we won't go on a trip. I've been thinking about taking you back to our hometown when your sister gets better. Why would we go back there? To see that heartless uncle and that shameless cousin? At the mention of his relatives in his hometown, Jishin's face was full of disdain. He remembered that a long time ago he allowed them to come to his house for the sake of their relatives. But what they did was inhumane. Jishin held grudges and wasn't as forgiving as Huamin. So, when he heard that his mother was going back to their hometown, Jishin was angry. No, your uncle is so heartless. I won't talk to them. I'm going back to visit your grandparents' graves. It's almost New Year, right? That's fine. I'll tell sis when I see her tomorrow. After dinner, Jishin and Bella went upstairs. Jingda and Yang Mirong were downstairs watching TV as usual. Midnight, Bella tossed and turned, unable to sleep. During the day she told Chin Chu about what happened. She recalled that her brother-in-law seemed to have a big reaction. Could it be that this Jingda was hiding some secrets? Those missing kids. Did he take them away with his own hands? The more she thought about it, the more she couldn't sleep. She got up to drink a glass of water. But when she got up and picked up the glass, she saw a shadow. Then he saw a figure flash by downstairs. Under the moonlight, Bella could see the man's figure clearly. She was sure that it was Jingda. She wanted to ask Jishin to come along, but Jishin trusted his father too much. Bella was afraid that Jishin would lose control and be agitated if he saw something he shouldn't. Therefore, after thinking about it, she secretly put on her clothes and quietly went downstairs to follow him. She didn't forget to send a message to Chin Chu. President Chin, that person is making a move. Chapter 4153. When Bella thought she was getting closer and closer to the truth, she felt a sharp pain in the back of her head. Then something warm flowed down her back. She turned her head with difficulty and saw Jingda's expressionless face. Then, she slowly fell to the ground. Jingda had been here for a long time and hadn't planned to do anything to his family. However, Bella seemed to have been suspicious of him and her words were targeted at him. More importantly, he received the young master's order to get rid of this woman. That was the reason for tonight's trap. Bella didn't know it was a trap and thought she could follow Jingda to find the missing children. But when Qin-Chu arrived, he knocked on the door of Sky Blessing Court. Yang Meirong opened the door with a jacket on. She was surprised to see her son-in-law so late at night. "Chu, why are you here?" "I need to talk to Bella and Jixin." "Oh, okay. It's cold outside. Come in." Yang Meirong didn't seem to notice anything. She opened the door and let Qin-Chu into the living room. At this moment, Jingda walked out in thermal underwear. Here. Qin-Chu was surprised to see Jingda at home at this hour. Then, who was Bella following? Instantly, Qin-Chu felt a chill in his heart. It was even colder in the room than outside. He didn't speak to Jingda. Instead, he nodded and tried to be patient. Sure enough, only Jixin came downstairs with Yang Meirong. Bella wasn't there. "Brother-in-law, Jixin, where's Bella?" "I was about to tell you. Bella's gone. It's weird. She disappeared when I fell asleep. We were lying down together." Jixin was dumbfounded. He didn't realize his wife was gone until his mother woke him up. "Did you see Bella?" Qin-Chu looked at Jingda. "No. Xiao Rong and I went back to our room after watching TV. "Yeah. Your dad was with me the whole time. I'm sure he didn't see Bella." Yang Meirong trusted her husband and was willing to be his witness. "Jixin, take me to the security room. I want to see the surveillance footage." Finally, Jixin and Qin-Chu combined the surveillance cameras at home and in the neighborhood. Then he found Bella's description. However, Bella was the only one in the surveillance camera. No matter how hard he checked, there was no one suspicious in front or behind of Bella. Qin-Chu sucked in a cold breath. The captain of the security room asked, "Is this lady sleepwalking? What is she doing out alone in the middle of the night?" "That's impossible. My wife has been with me for so long. I know best whether or not she sleepwalks. Drive back. I want to see where she went." Qin-Chu was anxious. He asked the security guard to drag Bella to the back. He saw Bella walking towards the wasteland behind the residential area. Without another word, Qin-Chu pulled Jixin into the car, and the two of them headed towards the wasteland. Finally, in the wasteland of ice and snow, he found the unconscious Bella, and there was blood all over her head. Jixin's face turned as pale as ash. "Honey, what happened to you? Oh my God, how did this happen?" Jixin couldn't accept the fact. He was dumbfounded. Qin-Chu didn't dare to say more. He and Jixin carried Bella to the car and drove her to the nearest first hospital. Soon Yang Meirong and Jingda arrived. In the operating room of the first hospital, after waiting for more than an hour, the chief surgeon came out. "Who's her family?" "I'm her husband." Jixin stood up from the bench. "Your wife was attacked from behind. The back of her head is seriously injured. She needs a craniotomy immediately to clean up the blood clots." "Okay. But the surgery is risky. She might not be able to leave the operating table." Chapter 4154. What? What do you mean she can't get off the operating table? Jixin was dumbfounded, not expecting the situation to be so serious. Qin-Chu, on the other hand, looked calm as if he had expected this outcome. "Doctor, what do you mean she can't get off the operating table? What's wrong with my daughter-in-law? Is her life in danger?" Yang Meirong grabbed the doctor's hand and questioned him. "Family members, please calm down. We will definitely do our best, but this patient's injuries are indeed very serious. We really don't have the confidence." Before the doctor could finish speaking, Qin-Chu walked over to him. "Let me do it." The doctor was dumbfounded. "I'm the husband of Southside's Vice Director Hua. I've done surgeries here before. You can check it out. If you don't believe me, you can call President Wu. I can do the surgery for my family. We'll bear the consequences." The doctor didn't know how to answer, but saving lives was more important. Fortunately, some of the medical staff recognized Qin-Chu and told him to get ready to enter the operating room. Jixin, Yang Meirong and Jingda stood outside the door, not knowing what to do. Jixin was inexperienced and didn't know how to deal with emergencies. He only knew that if something happened to Bella, he wouldn't know what to do. He would be devastated. Everyone was so sad that no one noticed that Jingda's expression was unnatural. He found it very strange. He had clearly done it according to the requirements of the higher-ups, but after he was done he actually felt a little guilty. Was it because he had grown attached to this family? Did he really think of himself as the real Jingda? Why did he feel so conflicted? He didn't feel so guilty when he killed other people, including those children. He should have been happy when he heard that Bella might not wake up, but he couldn't bring himself to smile. If Bella woke up, then he was done for, right? After all, Bella would tell everyone the truth. Standing beside Yang Meng, Jingda didn't know what to do. Now that Hua Mian was in Sea City, he had to follow her instructions. At this thought, Jingda glanced at Xixin. Xixin, do you want to tell your sister about this? I don't think so. My sister hasn't been in a good mood lately. I don't want her to worry anymore. Let's wait until my brother-in-law finishes his surgery. Xixin was sincerely thinking for his sister, so he didn't want to tell Hua Min. Yang Meirong nodded as well. Xixin is right. Mian can't even take care of herself. Let's not tell her for now. Otherwise she won't be able to do anything even after half a year. Besides, she's weak now. We can't let her get sick in the future. Qin Chu had not performed surgery for a long time, but his skills were not rusty. He was very careful as he helped Bella clean up the blood clot at the back of her head. The operation lasted for more than 2 hours. In the end, Qin Chu walked out of the operating room exhausted. Brother-in-law, how is it? It's done. The surgery went well, but it's hard to say when Bella will wake up. Xixin's eyes dimmed again. This wasn't good news. What did it mean that Bella was going to wake up? Was she in a vegetative state? What will happen to Bella? Yang Meirong's eyes were red from crying. It's very possible. Qin Chu glanced at Jingda behind Yang Meirong. Not daring to look at Qin Chu, Jingda lowered his head, obviously feeling guilty. Chapter 4155. Brother-in-law, what do you mean? Xixin looked at Qin Chu with hope in his eyes. She's probably in a vegetative state. Qin Chu's words made Xixin and Yang Meirong burst into tears again. Uncle Jing, you seem to have something on your mind. Qin Chu glared at Jingda and asked. I'm just worried about Bella. I don't want anything to happen to her, Jingda explained in a panic. Really? Qin Chu sneered and followed the nurse to change out of his surgical gown. Walking out of the sterilization room, Qin Chu called Gao Ran. He briefly told him what had happened. This guy is so cunning that he can fake the surveillance footage? It's not fake. An advanced hacker helped him erase the footage of him without leaving a trace. We can't find any evidence that he harmed Bella. Then what should we do? Are we just going to let them do whatever they want? Ever since Gao Ran learned that Jingda might be the murderer of those children, he hated this man very much. Of course not. If the law can't punish him, then I'll use my own way. Chu, don't tell me you want to. Hearing Qin Chu's tone, Gao Ran's heart sank. It's okay. Leave it to me. Maybe I can help you find out where those innocent children are. Wait for my news. Before Gao Ran could speak, Qin Chu hung up. Gao Ran panicked. Chu, don't do anything rash. Let's talk about it together. No matter how hard Gao Ran tried to persuade him, Qin Chu wouldn't listen. Qin Chu had a text message from Bella, but it wasn't enough evidence. After all, as long as Jingda insisted that he hadn't seen Bella and that Yang Meirong was his witness, the police wouldn't do anything to him. But Bella was lying in the ICU for real. Brother-in-law, seeing Qin Chu walk out, Xixin hurried forward. Don't cry. It's okay. I believe that Bella will wake up. Yes, when she wakes up we'll know who did this to her. I'm going to beat that bastard into a pulp. Xixin clenched his fists tightly. Jingda's face changed again. Qin Chu looked into Jingda's eyes and emphasized every word. Yes. When Bella wakes up we'll know the truth. Then we won't let go of the person who hurt her. Chu, you must be tired from the surgery. Go back and rest. Xixin and I will stay here and watch over you. Yang Meirong felt sorry for Qin Chu and advised him to go back and rest. Mom, why don't you and Xixin go home first? Change your clothes and pack some things. Come back tomorrow to take care of Bella. I've assigned a nurse to watch over her tonight, and she'll be under observation in the ICU tonight. There's no point in you guys staying here. After Qin Chu finished speaking, Xixin and Yang Meirong left reluctantly. Jingda went with them. Late at night, in the ICU of the first hospital, a nurse checked all of Bella's data and found nothing unusual. Then she turned and left the ward. A man in black who was wrapped up tightly sneaked in quietly. In his hand was a magnetic card for the ACU that he had stolen from who knows where. Then he slowly walked to Bella's bedside. If he reached out and cut off the oxygen tube, Bella might never wake up again. He reached out his trembling hand to remove the oxygen tube. Suddenly he felt numbness on his back and then he lost consciousness. Chapter 4156. When Jingde woke up again, he found himself in a rundown factory. His entire body was tied tightly with ropes. They were very tight and sturdy. Across from him, Qin Chu leaned against the wall, smoking a cigarette. On a cold night like this, Qin Chu only wore a black long-sleeved shirt. The diamonds inlaid on the cuffs glittered in the dark night. His head was lowered and no one knew what he was thinking. He held a cigarette in his right hand. His long and slender fingers were also exceptionally beautiful. Huimin had complained that her husband's hands were more beautiful and delicate than hers. How did you? Jingde said weakly. Shut your mouth. Qin Chu looked up and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Did he deserve to be called Chu? If he was the real Uncle Jing, he could. But this man wasn't the real Uncle Jing. He was a monster from somewhere. Why did you bring me here? Jingde pretended to be confused and smiled foolishly. Those who didn't know him would be fooled by him. But who was Qin Chu? If he hadn't attacked Bella so quickly, Qin Chu wouldn't have forgiven him so quickly. He wanted to see him continue acting, but obviously he had started to attack his family. This time it was Bella. Next time it would be Jixin or his mother-in-law. Qin Chu would never allow such a tragedy to happen. Do you think I don't know what you did to Bella? Qin Chu looked at Jingde and questioned him word by word. Jingde pretended to be surprised. What are you talking about? I don't understand. You got the wrong person. How could I hurt Bella? She's Jixin's wife. Of course Uncle Jing wouldn't hurt her. But you're not him. Hehe. Chu, are you kidding me? I don't joke with my enemies. Qin Chu threw the unfinished cigarette to the ground and stomped on it with all his might. Then he pressed his face against Jingde's face. Stop pretending. I didn't believe you were Jingde since the first day you came back. You can test my DNA if you don't believe me, Jingde said confidently. This was also the most cunning part of him. When he said this, Qin Chu was even more certain of his conjecture. Back then Huimin stole his hair and did a DNA comparison with Jixin's. In the end he actually admitted that they were father and son. This was ridiculous. After all, Huimin knew that Uncle Jing had indeed died many years ago. He died in a car accident and was later buried. A person who had been dead for more than 10 years had suddenly returned and lied about being reborn. This scene was as melodramatic as a novel. Because Jixin and Yang Merong missed Jingde dearly, they might be temporarily fooled. But Qin Chu and Huimin's eyes were sharp. The moment Jingde came back they had been on guard. Although I don't know how you managed to make your DNA match Uncle Jing's, you're definitely not him. So, if I ask you anything you'd better answer honestly. Otherwise, I won't go easy on you. A dagger suddenly appeared in Qin Chu's hand. Although it was small, it looked extremely sharp. How about this? Let's play a game. I'll ask you a question. If your answer doesn't satisfy me, I'll stab you. But don't worry, I'm a medical student. I won't kill you. Even if I stab you hundreds of holes, you won't die immediately. You'll just slowly endure the torture. You don't know anything. Jingde suddenly laughed, but it was a weird laugh. At this moment he finally stopped arguing that he was Jingde. Chapter 4157. Let's not waste time. Let's begin. Then Qin Chu looked at the fake Jingde and asked, First question, who are you? Hehe. I really don't know who I am. Obviously Qin Chu wasn't satisfied with the answer. Holding the hilt of the knife he stabbed it into Jingde's ribs. The stab was accurate and ruthless. Jingde grunted in pain, probably because of the pain. But Qin Chu didn't pull out the knife. Instead he continued to ask, Second question, who is your master? You don't deserve to know my master. Jingde laughed. His laughter was very arrogant, which was totally different from his usual simple and honest character. It was as if he had become another person. Sighing slightly, Qin Chu grabbed the hilt of the knife and pulled it out abruptly. Before Jingde could catch his breath, Qin Chu stabbed him again. It was the same spot. It was obvious how painful the stab was. Finally Jingde couldn't help but cry out. I advise you to tell me the truth if you don't want to suffer. Hehe. When did you find out I'm a fake Jingde? The man looked at Qin Chu and asked. From the first day you came back. That's impossible. I couldn't have exposed myself so quickly. He seemed to think that he had disguised himself very well, and his words were also quite good. At least Yang Merong and Jixing believed him. You were able to show up near the Civil Affairs Bureau and let Jixing see you. But you were able to avoid so many surveillance cameras. So, I don't believe you're an honest Uncle Jing. Uncle Jing doesn't even know how many surveillance cameras there are at the intersection. But, you're obviously not. So that's why you're suspicious. But didn't Huamin use my hair as a comparison? Can't you believe me after comparing my DNA? So you knew Mian took your hair. Qin Chu gasped. Of course. I left my hair for her to use as a comparison to gain her trust. Jingde looked smug. Unfortunately, we became more suspicious of you after we got the test report. Why? Because we don't believe that individuals can be resurrected, especially those who have been dead for so many years. This is not scientific. Science? You want to talk to me about science? Let me tell you. There are many things in this world that science can't explain, so kid, don't believe in science really. This person spoke inexplicably. Qin Chu had a feeling that he might not be able to get anything out of him. Because he did not seem to be afraid of anything. Did you kill the cats and dogs in the neighborhood? Qin Chu changed to an unimportant question and didn't press her further. Not only the cats and dogs but the children as well? Jingde smiled ferociously. But, thinking of those children, Qin Chu feels sad because Jingde has admitted it himself. As a parent, he can always understand the deep love for children. Because of my food. I can't be like you guys and eat these disgusting dishes. You ate them. Qin Chu felt his heart sink again. You could say that. Anyway, they're dead. Where are the bodies? Are you helping your police friends solve the case? Jingde looked at Qin Chu with a provocative smile. Qin Chu didn't speak. Jingde continued. They're in the artificial lake in the neighborhood. Qin Chu knew those children were dead, but hearing Jingde admit it still saddened him. Would you believe me if I told you I'm a vampire? Jingde asked Qin Chu. His words sounded like vicious curses, and Qin Chu's emotions were somewhat affected. Perhaps because he was angry, he suddenly pulled back the dagger, and the other aorta started to bleed very quickly. In less than a minute, Jingde's breath became weak. He seemed to be dying. One last question. Is my child still alive? Qin Chu knew he wouldn't get anything from Jingde, and he probably wouldn't tell him if he knew. Chapter 4159. Qin Chu didn't know that after all he had been through a lot. Was their child still alive in Mian's belly? In fact, he didn't dare to ask. But he still couldn't help it. After all, it was a little life they had been looking forward to for a long time. Carried a lot of hope for him and Mian. When Mian was 3 months old, she began to knit many handmade vests and belly bands for the baby. In fact, Qin Chu didn't have much hope. After all, this fake Jingde refused to say anything. Who would have thought that before this person breathed his last, he actually answered this question? Among so many questions, he was the only one who answered. Your child is still alive. After saying this, Jingde's head tilted, and he died completely. Qin Chu felt his breath and found that he was indeed dead. From the moment Bella died, he didn't want to let this cruel guy go. It was impossible to keep him alive. Gao Ran was a police officer and everything he did was based on evidence. But Qin Chu didn't need to. He only knew that if anyone hurt the person he loved, he would not be able to live under the same sky as him. After Jingde died, Qin Chu didn't leave directly. Instead, he poured the gasoline he had prepared in advance. Then he lit the lighter and burned the fake Jingde's body to ashes. Qin Chu also used chemicals to clean up the remaining bones. He didn't do this because he hated this person. It was because Qin Chu felt that this person's genes were the same as Jingde's, and there was something fishy about it. He was afraid that if he didn't die completely, he would leave behind future troubles. It turned out that Qin Chu's way of dealing with it was right. Because only when the body was turned into ashes could it be at peace. Otherwise, it would only come back to life. After all, this was a strange organism. After killing Jingde, Qin Chu turned around and walked out. In fact, killing Jingde wasn't considered murder in this city. But, according to the household register, Jingde died in a car accident many years ago. Therefore, Qin Chu only killed a person who shouldn't have existed. When Gao Ran found Qin Chu, he was already sitting in the corner of a small bar, drinking. Chu. Yes. Where is Jingda? You caught him? He's dead. Ah? Gao Ran's expression changed, but then he thought about it and realized that it was nothing. That's fine. Anyway, this person shouldn't exist in this world. Chu, those children, in the man-made lake in Sky Blessing Court. A man-made lake. After hearing this, Gao Ran's expression changed greatly. He hurriedly called his men. Hurry up and contact the salvage team. We'll salvage it overnight. Although they knew that the children were already dead, finding their bodies could be considered as an explanation to the children's parents. Chu, did you get anything out of him? No, he refused to say anything. Qin Chu poured himself a cup of wine and drank by himself. His mood seemed to be very depressed. Indeed, Jingda refused to say anything, so he still didn't know where Mian was. The only good news was that he knew that his children were still alive. Besides, the Huamin beside him was a fake. Qin Chu didn't want to tell anyone about this. He had a feeling that this Mian beside him must be more difficult to deal with than Jingda. So he didn't want to alert the enemy. Somehow, Qin Chu had a feeling that someone had set up a trap, and he and Huamian were just pawns that could be manipulated by others. Now that Jingda is dead, how are you going to explain it to Jixin and your mother-in-law? Gao Ran thought of another serious problem. Chapter 4160. We can't tell them that Jingda is a psychopath who killed so many children, right? Of course not. Uncle Jing passed away many years ago. I don't want this person to ruin his reputation, Qin Chu said. Then what should we do? If you want to calm the panic, you can find a scapegoat. Otherwise, the rumor about vampires will cause social unrest. That's true. But it's not my style to find a scapegoat. It's so low. Gao Ran felt bad. Then do you dare to say that it was a person who died many years ago who killed them? I don't dare. So it's all the same. Qin Chu glanced at Gao Ran. It's easy for me to explain. What about you? What did Jixin and the others say? Just say that Uncle Jing passed away. Will they have a glimmer of hope in their hearts and wait for him to come back? Gao Ran guessed. It's better to have a glimmer of hope than to break it. Jixin and my mother-in-law are already very weak. They can't take a second blow. Let's do that. Anyway, if he's dead, he won't harm society in the future. Chu, I want to thank you on behalf of the thousands of police officers in our bureau. Thank you for getting rid of a dangerous person for us. Let's have a drink. In a bad mood, Qin Chu talked about the case with Gao Ran in the small bar for a while. Then he drove home. Huamin had returned to South Hill Manor. When Qin Chu came back, she was sitting in the living room watching TV. She seemed to be waiting for him. Honey, you're back? Qin Chu didn't say anything. He lowered his head and changed his shoes. Didn't you hear me talking to you? Qin Chu looked up at Huamin. Did you have a good chat with Suyu today? Are you spying on me? Huamin was furious. I don't need to monitor you. You didn't bring your wallet with you and you bought so many luxuries. Other than Suyu, I can't think of anyone else who would pay for you. Didn't I also want to see you jealous? This tells us. If you don't love your wife, old Wang next door will love her for you. In the face of Huamin's unreasonable provocation, Qin Chu only smiled coldly. Very good, then you can go to old Wang's house next door. Qin Chu, stop right there. Huamin shouted angrily. However, Qin Chu didn't seem to have any intention of stopping and continued to walk upstairs. She ran a few steps forward and blocked Qin Chu's path. What do you want? Shouldn't you apologize to me? I was so angry with you this morning that I ran out for the whole day. You didn't even call me once. Didn't you have a good day today? Qin Chu asked back. Qin Chu, if you don't like me, just say it. Don't be cold to me. I can't take it anymore. I just had a miscarriage. Do you have to treat me like this? Didn't I already give birth to 2 daughters for you? Are you still not satisfied? It has nothing to do with the children. Get out of my way. The more Qin Chu looked at this person, the more disgusted he felt. When he was in a good mood, he could beat her at her own game. When he was in a bad mood, he didn't want to see her. How could such a person be his Mian? I'm not moving. You have to apologize to me today and move back to our bedroom. Otherwise, I'll wake up Mom and Dad and let them be the judge. Why do you seem like a different person? You were never like this before. Qin Chu deliberately looked at the woman in front of him. When she heard this, her expression changed slightly. She looked a little unnatural. Chapter 4161. Honey, I didn't want to be like this. You forced me to be like this. Seeing Chin-Chu doubting her, Hua-min immediately gave in. Stop it. I'm tired. A lot of things happened today. Huh? What's wrong? Honey. As Hua-min spoke, she walked over and tried to put her arms around Chin-Chu's neck, acting like a spoiled child. However, Chin-Chu dodged her attack and she missed. Before Hua-min could get angry, Chin-Chu said, I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want you to worry. What's the matter? The more Chin-Chu said, the more Hua-min wanted to know. Uncle Jing is missing. What? This time Hua-min was indeed shocked. Bella is injured. I don't know who attacked her. She's still in a coma in the hospital. But Uncle Jing is missing. He's completely missing. I've called the police and they're still investigating. How can that be? It was obvious that she was both shocked and concerned about Jingda's disappearance. She even forgot to care about Bella's coma. So Chin-Chu was even more certain that this woman was with Jingda. It's true. So Mion, have a good rest and get some sleep. Tomorrow we'll face these troublesome things together. Chin-Chu reached out and stroked her hair. For a moment Hua-min was filled with happiness. It was the first time Chin-Chu had acted so intimately with her since she came back from the hospital. I'll listen to you. Honey, I'll stop. Go back and rest. I'll work on a project in the study. Then Chin-Chu went to the study. Hua-min watched for a while and thought Chin-Chu's reaction was normal. So she went back to her room. After she went back, she tried to contact Jingda in their way. But there was no response. Why did he run away all of a sudden? Could it be that after listening to his orders and harming Bella, he was afraid? She couldn't figure it out. In the study, Chin-Chu looked at a thin strand of hair. It was a strand of hair that he stroked Hua-min's head. If Chin-Chu guessed right, he used this strand of hair to do a DNA comparison with Pudding and Little Bean. His conclusion was the same as Jingda. So the woman beside him, Jingda's woman. Would she be as cruel as Jingda and do those things that hurt children? At this thought, Chin-Chu's. When on earth did Mion get swapped? It was as if there was a custom-made bomb in his house. The two daughters were still unaware of the situation and really thought that their mother had returned. Mion zesty. Chin-Chu suddenly realized that Jingda's death didn't solve the problem. He had avenged Bella, but Chin-Chu had thrown himself into an even bigger mystery. Meanwhile, on the other side of the earth, in the palace deep under the sea, Master, I have something to report. Messiah walked over. Speak. In Lin Ya's palm was a cute colorful bird. It was eating the raw meat in Lin Ya's palm. 5 minutes ago, number 002 lost all signs of life. Oh? He's completely dead? Lin Ya looked back in surprise. He's completely dead. Furthermore, it shows that his body has suffered enormous damage and cannot be restored. I underestimated those people. They killed my 002 so quickly. What about Layla? What's she doing? Chapter 4162. There's no movement on Miss Layla's side for now. Who killed 002? Lin Ya asked again. According to the last copy of 002's retina before he died, the last person he saw before he died was Chin-Chu. Oh, it's that child. Layla might have met her match this time. Miss Mion's lover doesn't seem to be an ordinary person. His sensitivity and insight are better than ordinary people. This was Messiah's high opinion of Chin-Chu. So what? He's still a stupid human. Lin Ya didn't seem to have a good impression of Chin-Chu. Hearing her master's words, Messiah didn't dare to say anything else. Where's Mion? Miss Mion's mood is much more stable. She's awake and seems to want to see you. Yeah, it's meaningless to lock her up like this. Bring her here. I'll tell her everything she wants to know. But, will Miss Mion be able to handle such a huge amount of information? Messiah didn't seem to want to agitate Hua-min, who was about to give birth. If she can't even handle this, how can she be Layla's match? Don't forget they're exactly the same and I can only keep one of them. Lin Ya smiled coldly without a trace of warmth. Messiah didn't dare to say anything else and turned to look for Hua-min. Hua-min had been living here for a while and was used to this rhythm. Other than Messiah, the servants here didn't speak much. It was as if they didn't dare to speak, afraid that they would say something wrong. The food she ate was fine. No one had tampered with it. Moreover, she ate very well. There were all kinds of delicacies. As for the woman who claimed to be her mother, Huamin had only seen her once. Later, when she heard from Messiah that she had gone out, Huamin had a lot of questions to ask her. So when Messiah came to find her, she said that the master wanted to see her. Huamin was happy. At least she had to figure out something. She couldn't be imprisoned here forever. She didn't even know what was going on outside. Messiah, thank you for taking care of me recently. Huamin's sudden gratitude stunned Messiah. You're welcome, Miss Mion. It's my duty. No, there's no such thing as should or shouldn't. There's no such thing as taking things for granted in this world. You've been good to me and I'll remember that. Huamin reached out and patted the back of Messiah's hand. Messiah looked at Huamin in surprise. Miss Layla, who looked exactly like her, wouldn't treat her like this. She had always been high and mighty and everyone was afraid of her. But this Miss Mion in front of him was completely different. She seemed to be very kind, making him feel warm inside. Messiah had been with her master for so long, but this was the first time she had such a strange feeling. Miss Mion, don't talk back to master when you see her later. Don't provoke her. She's a bit weird and you can talk things out. After all, you're mother and daughter and you're her child. There's nothing you can't solve. Chapter 4163. Unlike last time, Linya didn't wear the crystal mask this time. She didn't stand in the hall like a queen. She was in her own room, the same white room that Huamin usually lived in. When Huamin walked in, he saw Linya holding a black kitten in her arms. The kitten was cute and obedient. The kitten meowed and ran toward Huamin. Huamin took 2 steps back subconsciously. Seth, be a good boy. Come back. Don't scare my daughter. Linya used the name my daughter this time, but Huamin didn't feel close to her at all. I have a lot of questions for you. Huamin said directly. I'm willing to answer your questions. Linya smiled. She was wearing a lotus-colored dress that looked like a China-style cheongsam. It was very elegant and her hair was simply tied up. To be honest, if she wasn't in her 50s, one would think she was a woman in her 30s at first glance. She was very young and had no wrinkles on her face. The only thing that made her look old was her eyes and her steady aura. Mion, sit down. You're pregnant. You'll get tired and your feet will swell if you stand for too long. I was like this when I was pregnant with you. I got tired after walking a few steps. Linya's sudden words made Huamin even more cautious. Was she trying to play the tender card? After what happened with Jingda, Huamin didn't believe this woman was his biological mother. After confirming it with Messiah, his heart was still in a mess. In short, she kept telling herself in her heart not to trust anyone so easily. Huamin slowly sat down on a very clean white chair in Linya's room. She sat down carefully and hugged her round belly. What's your relationship with Layla? Huamin couldn't help but be curious. His first question was so sharp. Linya smiled and gently stroked the little black kitten in her arms. Mion, you're like your father in this aspect. You want to get to the bottom of things first. Huamin didn't say anything. Linya said slowly, if I tell you about Layla directly, you might be confused. Let me explain it to you from the beginning. Didn't you keep asking? Didn't I die? Wasn't I in a cave in Iceland? Huamin remained silent and looked at her nervously. Mion, the woman in the cave, wasn't me. That's impossible. Dad personally carried it into the ice coffin. Yen has been guarding it all these years. Huamin was very agitated and immediately refuted Linya's words. Come with me, I'll bring you to meet someone. With that, Linya stood up and walked out with Huamin following behind her. The mother and daughter arrived at a secret passage. After the scanner at the door identified Linya's fingerprints and retina, the sealed door was opened. There was only an ice coffin inside. Linya waved at Huamin. Mion, come here and look at her. Dubious, Huamin walked over and glanced at the person in the ice coffin. He was stunned. It was also Linya lying in the coffin. Chapter 4164. She's a clone and I'm the original. So Mion, I'm your mother. She's not. Linya turned around with a smile and said to Huamin word for word. Clone. Huamin was in disbelief when he heard the word. It was like a sci-fi movie. Back when Huamian was studying medicine, she also loved scientific research, which required a lot of technology. Therefore all she knew about cloning came from the world-famous cloned sheep Dolly. Dolly was a female sheep created through modern engineering. It was the first artificial animal to be successfully cloned in the world. Dolly was a new individual cultivated from the adult somatic cells of a mammal using nuclear transfer technology. Simply put, it was to take a cell from a person and cultivate it again. He would become a new individual that was exactly the same as the original. However, this technology was only limited to animals and had never been tested on humans. Moreover, research on human cloning was banned all over the world. Many countries no longer advocated scientific research that was considered anti-human. Therefore, when Linya suddenly mentioned cloning to Huamin, she was in a daze. Yes, Mion. You're so smart. You should know how powerful cloning technology is. Then if you're the original, why did you, separate from Dad, and give him a clone? Huamin quickly found a loophole. I'll explain it to you later. You just need to know that you're my daughter. Not this clone's daughter. Looking at Huamin's dazed eyes, Linya knew that he didn't believe her. Mion, after the explosion. I brought you here and performed surgery on you to save you and your child. Don't you trust me enough? What about Layla? Where did Layla go when I came here? Huamin continued to question her. Linya was slightly stunned. She didn't expect Huamin's logic to be so clear. Layla went to your house. What? Upon hearing this, Huamin's heart turned cold. That perverted woman who looked exactly the same as her actually went to her house? What did she want? What do you want? What do you want? Huamin was a little agitated and questioned Linya while panting. Mion, don't worry. Layla won't hurt your child. He's my grandson. I just asked her to test Chinchu. Yes. Chinchu? Huamin felt that this was ridiculous. You have to know that love can't be trusted. In this world, love is just a hypocritical lie. Men change. Chinchu loves you now, but in a few years when you grow old and lose your beautiful face, he won't love you so much. Layla isn't you. She just looks exactly like you, but he can't tell that it's fake. He always thinks it's you. He even slept with Layla and did many intimate things with her. That's impossible. Don't lie to me. Chinchu and I know each other too well over the years. We know each other. It's like we know ourselves. Others can't recognize me, but Chinchu definitely won't. Linya's words didn't anger Huamin. Instead, it made her more clear-headed. Chapter 4165. Late at night at South Hill Manor. Chinchu didn't know how much his wife, Huamin, trusted him at this moment. She even argued with Linya again. He said that he was working overtime on a project, but that was just an excuse. Ever since he came back from the hospital, he hadn't shared a bed with this fake Huamin. In the past, Chinchu just felt that something was wrong and subconsciously avoided it. Now that he knew that this wasn't his wife, he didn't want to have any contact with her. Chinchu didn't let the hospital deal with the child and kept it for himself. Chinchu got someone to do a DNA test on the stillborn and found that it was unrelated to him. Therefore, he immediately checked the hospital. He found that the doctors who performed the induced labor on Huamin that night had mysteriously disappeared. Now that he thought about it, it must be to cover up this terrifying conspiracy, right? He remembered that when he arrived, the doctor deliberately asked him if he wanted to save the child. Now that he thought about it, it was ridiculous. It was just a conspiracy. He was too sad at the time, and Siu said that they had just experienced a big explosion. That was why Chinchu didn't think too much about it. Now it seemed that there were already loopholes. Chinchu looked at the empty coffee cup. When Mion was around, she would considerately bring him a cup of coffee when he was busy. Then she would sit on his lap and act coquettishly with him for a while. There was a voice in his heart. He wanted to know more than anyone else where his wife was. Were she and the child okay? However, he knew that there was nothing he could do. Even if he caught this fake Huamin and interrogated him like he did with Jingda, there would be no results. This organization seemed to be very mysterious, and he didn't know their ultimate goal, so he couldn't alert them. Mion, I miss you so much. I miss you so much. Chinchu's voice was very low, almost as if he was reading lips. Then he was caught off guard and spat out a mouthful of blood. He thought that if Mion didn't come back, he would really miss her so much that he would fall ill. At the nightclub downtown, Suyu had failed to make an appointment with Chinchu, and what Huamin had said during the day. His heart was in turmoil, so he came to the nightclub to drink at night. Damn it, Tang Chuan and Qin Ning had flown to the US to celebrate his father-in-law's birthday. Wei Liao brought his wife and children to the neighboring city to attend his cousin's wedding. Therefore he was the only one left. And didn't know how to drink. Qin Chu had no choice but to drink himself to death in the nightclub. In the spacious private room, Suyu was the only one sitting on the sofa. The neckline was wide open and it was extremely tempting. And watched from outside the private room, afraid that those women would take the opportunity to take advantage of his boss. At this moment An's phone rang. Hello. It's me, Xiao and Miss Han. And wasn't sure if it was Han Yueyao's voice in the noisy corridor. Yes, I called Suyu but he didn't pick up. Where are you? At a nightclub. Indeed, what do you mean? A reporter I know said that he took a picture of Suyu's car outside the nightclub. I didn't believe it. President Su was drinking alone and didn't do anything else. Miss Han, don't misunderstand, and explained. Misunderstand? What misunderstanding? I'm not his girlfriend, and was embarrassed and didn't know how to answer. Are you still there? Yes, President Su drank a lot and refused to go home. Wait for me. I'll be there soon. Then she hung up the phone, and opened the door and peeked in. Suyu was lying on the sofa with a bottle of wine in his hand. Chapter 4166. Han Yueyao arrived quickly. She had booked a car online. Then she hurried upstairs and went straight to the private room on the top floor. Miss Han, so fast? Where's Suyu? The night in the north was especially cold, and Han Yueyao's cheeks were a little red from the cold. President Su is inside. Okay. Han Yueyao pushed the door open and entered like a tough woman. Perhaps she came out in a hurry. And saw that although she was wearing a down jacket outside, she was only wearing a thin pair of pants underneath. Perhaps she didn't have time to change. After Han Yueyao entered, she walked straight to the sofa. Then she lifted Suyu up. She was extremely strong. Suyu opened his eyes and saw a blurry figure. Come and drink with me, look at you now. Do you still look like the president of Imperial Star? Han Yueyao looked at Suyu's state and was about to break down. She vaguely felt that something had happened to Suyu recently, but she didn't know what it was. Now that he didn't say anything and was drunk here, she felt bad and her heart ached. I'm not the president. What bullshit president? I'm just a troublemaker who implicates my friends. Huh. Suyu opened his mouth and it reeked of alcohol. Looking at the scattered wine bottles on the ground, Han Yueyao frowned slightly. You want a drink, right? I'll let you drink as much as you want. Han Yueyao angrily helped Suyu sit up and grab the wine bottle in his hand. Then she poured it into his mouth. The sudden wine was very strong and Suyu choked and coughed. Cough, cough, cough. He pushed Han Yueyao away. Unwilling to give up, Han Yueyao poured the rest of the wine over Suyu's head. When the ice-cold water entered his warm neck, it immediately made him sober up a lot. What are you doing? Do you believe that I'll beat you up? Suyu was furious and raised his fist. Just as he was about to punch Zhang Xian, he took a closer look at the person before him and licked his lips before retracting his fist. Go on. Why don't you play? Han Yueyao asked him with a sneer. Why are you here? Suyu lowered his head and shook the wine off his body. Come and see how embarrassed our boss is. Then you've seen it, right? If you're done, you can go back. Ignoring her, Suyu picked up a new bottle of wine from the floor. So you don't drink anymore. Look at yourself. You're not like the old you at all. Can you tell me what's wrong? Her eyes were red. She squatted down and leaned closer to Suyu's face for the first time. She could clearly smell the unique scent of male hormones on him. If it wasn't for such a tense and intense atmosphere, she thought that she would definitely be delirious. You don't understand, Han Yueyao. You won't understand my sadness. No one will understand. Suyu was indeed drunk and couldn't speak clearly. He waved his hand and told Han Yueyao to leave as if he didn't want to be disturbed. I'm not leaving. If you want to drink, I'll drink with you. If you want to be sad, I'll be sad with you. See, I don't want you to be alone anymore. I don't want to see you alone anymore. With that, Han Yueyao let go of Suyu, picked up the wine bottle on the ground and gulped it down. And stood outside the door watching the scene in horror. He thought to himself, didn't Miss Han advise President Su to drink less? Why is she drinking too? How am I going to control this situation? Suyu seemed to understand and pushed Han Yueyao away. Then he quickly got up. I need to go to the bathroom. I can't hold it in anymore. He found a lame excuse and ran away. President Su, that's the kitchen. You're in the wrong place. The bathroom is this way. And couldn't stand it anymore and pointed the way for Suyu. Suyu felt even more awkward. The scariest thing was that he suddenly sobered up. Chapter 4168. Perhaps because the kiss was too intense, Han Yueao seemed to have sobered up a little. She got up from the ground and fell onto the sofa, her cheeks flushed. Suyu went to the bathroom for a full 10 minutes, to avoid embarrassment, and ran back to his room and closed the door. When Suyu came out of the bathroom again, he glanced at Han Yueao on the sofa. He said awkwardly, I'm going upstairs to sleep. I'm a little dizzy. Ask An to prepare a guest room for you. If you want to go back, and can drive you. Then he ran upstairs as fast as he could, as if he was running for his life. But Han Yueao yelled at him. Stop right there. Suyu immediately stopped, but he didn't dare to look back. In the room and was eager to gossip. He leaned against the door and listened. Han Yueao stood up unsteadily. She walked up to Suyu step by step. Suyu, you're a man. Why are you running away? I was the one who kissed you. You didn't do anything to me. Suyu, to be honest. Did you feel anything when I kissed you? Suyu, Han Yueao must be drunk to ask such explicit questions. It would be strange if Suyu could answer. Then he wouldn't be Suyu. And who was eavesdropping in the room almost vomited blood. It's getting late. Han Yueao, hurry up. Suyu, can't you not run away? How old are you? You're almost 30 years old. Most of your life has passed. You're not afraid of anything. Are you afraid of a little girl like me? Han Yueao didn't want to see Suyu's perfunctory attitude. You know you're a little girl. So, blondie, go to sleep. Stop fooling around. I'm not fooling around, Suyu. You know how I feel about you. Han Yueao blurted out the words in excitement. Suyu seemed to have a premonition in his heart. He didn't feel surprised or strange, but the atmosphere once again fell into an incomparably awkward state. See, I like him. You can tell, and the whole world can tell, right? But I know that you have no obligation to accept me. Love is a pure thing. It doesn't change just because you're my boss and I'm your subordinate, or because you're a rich man and I'm just an ordinary person. To be honest, I never dreamed that I would fall in love with someone like you one day. A person like me. What's wrong with me? Suyu smiled faintly and joked. That's right. I thought I would meet an ordinary person I like, get married, have children, and live a peaceful life. I didn't think I would be so ignorant as to fall in love with an important person. But since I've fallen in love, I will follow my heart. Different from Zheng Ro threw herself at Suyu regardless of his feelings. After forcefully kissing Suyu, Han Yueao didn't go up to hug him or offer herself up to him. Instead, she respected Suyu's thoughts. She respected her own personality more. Hearing her words, Suyu heaved a long sigh of relief. Chapter 4169. Han Yueao, the old Suyu might have been outstanding in your eyes, but he's not anymore. The old Suyu is dead. I don't know why you like me. If you want money, I have it. If you want fame, I can give it to you. If you want fame and fortune, I can give it to you. I'm okay with sleeping with you. If you ask me for love, then I'm sorry, I don't have it. You know, the whole world knows I, Suyu, gave all my love to Huamin. Suyu said this very seriously. He knew that Han Yueao would be sad to death after he said it. However, he still had to make some things clear. He couldn't use the excuse of being in a relationship to mislead her and waste her youth. With the cases of Jian Tong and Ye Lingxian, Suyu didn't dare to flirt with any woman. He was afraid that he would hurt her feelings. Suyu would rather Han Yueao for fame and fortune, money, and other motives. At least he would feel better if he did. However, he knew that a girl as sincere as Han Yueao wouldn't do it for those extravagant things. Since she dared to confess, she must be moved. However, Suyu didn't have love. He really couldn't give Han Yueao any love. There was nothing he could do. And was at the door and gritted his teeth angrily. President Su is so silly. Doesn't that mean he missed out on another good girl? Miss Han is really a good person. It seems like the old bachelor is going to stay single. Just when everyone thought that Han Yueao would be in so much pain that she would cry, she didn't. He didn't. This girl was always so unpredictable. She retracted the red rims of her eyes and the tears that were about to fall. Then she smiled. It was a very sweet smile. She looked at Suyu and said, "So the world is fair. When you give your heart and soul to someone but don't get a response, God will definitely send someone as silly as you to treat you wholeheartedly. Suyu, I understand that you're willing to protect Sister Mion for the rest of your life. And I'm willing to protect you for the rest of my life. You're such a good person. You deserve my protection. Han Yueao, don't do this. You'll regret it." Suyu was upset. He didn't expect this girl to be so stubborn. "Then let me ask you, have you ever regretted loving Sister Mion for so many years?" "I haven't," Suyu answered frankly. "So, Suyu, no matter what you were before, what you are now, and what you'll become in the future, you'll always be in my heart. No matter whether you're good or bad, no matter what great or wrong you've done, you'll always be Suyu, the outstanding man I love. I don't need you to agree to date me. I just need you to be friends with me just like you are with Sister Mion. Let me be by your side, watch you be happy and protect you. That's all." "Han Yueao, you can't do this. You'll get married in the future. Don't do stupid things to delay yourself. Will you give up on Sister Mion and marry someone else in the future?" Han Yueao asked Suyu another difficult question. Chapter 4170. Hearing Han Yueao's question, Suyu fell silent again. Yes, could he let go of Mion and marry another woman? To be honest, he hadn't thought about this question himself. He just wanted to live one day at a time, but in the blink of an eye, 4 years had passed. In the past 4 years, Suyu had been jokingly called a forever single dog by his friends. He seemed to have gotten used to it. So when Han Yueao asked him if he would get married in the future, he really didn't know how to answer. Say yes. He wasn't sure. Say no. He wasn't sure either. There were too many uncertainties. If you think it's hard to answer, you don't have to. Anyway, this question isn't important to me. But don't say that you're holding me back or that I'll get married in the future, because my answer is the same as yours. Although I don't dare to say that I won't get married for the rest of my life for you, at least not now. I'll follow my heart. If one day I let go of you, then I'll openly fall in love, get married and have children. Maybe then I'll ask you for a big red packet." Han Yueao smiled brightly. Hearing the girl's heartfelt words, Suyu didn't know what to feel. He could only say that he was touched and heartbroken. He felt heartbroken because there seemed to be another idiot in the world who was as infatuated as him. He was touched that there were girls who were willing to give their hearts to someone like him without asking for anything in return. She didn't force him to marry her, date him, or reciprocate. She was only willing to like him silently. This kind of thing was easy to say but difficult to do. During this period, Suyu had a certain understanding of Han Yueao and knew that she wasn't the kind of person who only knew how to sweet talk. Therefore, what she said was more authoritative. "Okay, I've said what I wanted to say. President Su, rest early. Tomorrow is a new day. Let's work hard and live every day." Then Han Yueao turned and walked downstairs to the living room. "Are you asleep?" No. Hearing Han Yueao call him and immediately ran out. "Can I trouble you to take me home?" "I'm not used to being in an unfamiliar environment. I like the small bed in my staff dormitory." "Sure. Can we leave now?" "Right, let's go." Han Yueao walked ahead of him. When she reached the door, she looked back and smiled sweetly at him. "Good night, President Su. Sweet dreams." This last is really, Suyu felt a headache coming on. Seeing her leave, he felt relieved. If this girl stayed tonight, he would feel uncomfortable. After all, she was different from those young models who spent the night at his house. He could just leave those young models in the living room and let the media write whatever they wanted. But Han Yueao was different. Fortunately, the girl had left. Perhaps she didn't want to make things too awkward. After Han Yueao left, Suyu lay on the bed. He didn't have the energy to think about other things. After all, he had drunk too much. Therefore, he slept all the way until dawn. The next morning, Suyu had thought that rumors about him and Han Yueao would spread everywhere. After all, the paparazzi would make an issue of Han Yueao's visit to his mansion. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. The reason was that late last night, Han Yueao returned to her dormitory and posted this on her personal Weibo. Who said that President Su is desperate and brings women home to spend the night. Last night, I took the initiative to go to his house and was kicked out. Please don't slander our president in the future. After all, he's a good boss who pays his salary on time. Suyu was so angry that he laughed when he saw this Weibo post. How could she be so naughty? Chapter 4171. After Han Yueyao made fun of herself, the netizens didn't criticize her. Instead, she gained hundreds of thousands of fans and even became a trending topic. The trending topic was, Han Yueyao delivered herself to his door. When they clicked on this Weibo post, they knew it was a joke. This way, the media wouldn't dare to expose the photos of Han Yueyao going to Suyu's house last night. After all, Han Yueyao did come out soon. This way, Han Yueyao made fun of herself and also protected Suyu from being described as a playboy by the unscrupulous media. In the dressing room of the Performing Arts Department, Han Yueyao logged into Weibo with her phone and was in a good mood when she saw the comments. Wow, Big Yao, you're really good at making fun of yourself. I'm in love with you. Ah, the girl is so funny. I'm your fan now. I knew you were a good seedling. Goddess, are there any variety shows coming up? I'll definitely watch them. I heard that you had an affair with Suyu and thought you might be the second Yelling Shin. Now it seems that you're not. Ah, you're so cute. You even delivered yourself to his door and got kicked out. But President Su has bad eyesight recently? Those young models aren't as pretty as you. Why did he kick you out? In a good mood, Han Yueyao replied to this netizen, I think it's because my chest is flat. Ah, you're so cute. Her reply instantly caused a heated discussion among the netizens. An hour later, the trending topic changed to Han Yueyao's flat chest. She had a lot of fun with the netizens on Weibo. However, Han Yueyao also posted a post on her WeChat friend circle. This post was different from the one that made fun of herself. She wrote, what this world doesn't lack the most is beautiful women everywhere, rich people everywhere, promiscuous playboys everywhere, tricks everywhere, and so-called love that has overflowed to the extreme everywhere. The only thing missing was the sense of responsibility, sense of security, loyalty, as well as the unrepentant determination that shouldn't be missing in love. Han Yueyao didn't have many friends on her WeChat friend circle. Therefore, these words came from the bottom of his heart. When Suyu saw it, he wanted to like it but was afraid that the little girl would think too much, so he pretended not to see it. Su Xiaoxiao gave a like and commented, oh, someone's heart is about to move. I wish you success. The revolution hasn't succeeded yet. Warriors still need to work hard, Han Yueyao replied to Su Xiaoxiao. Suyu also saw it clearly. When Huamin woke up in the morning and saw this message, the corner of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. A filthy woman from the entertainment industry wants to get her hands on Suyu, in your dreams. Layla was not Huamin. Of course, she would not have any feelings for this little girl. So he deliberately left a comment below and asked, Yao Yao, are you talking about Yuan Bo? You two are really a perfect match. Sister Mion, it's not him. That guy really isn't my type. Seeing Huamin's comments, Han Yueyao was happy. She didn't see any malicious intent, but she wondered if Sister Xiongmin was in a good mood and was willing to talk. Huamin did not reply to her. Yuan Bo, on the other hand, picked up his cell phone and saw Weibo. He clicked on it and commented and reposted it, saying, Beauty, if you're in a relationship, you'll cut your wrists if you break up. When this post was posted, his fans burst into laughter. Are you two showing off your love? This fan comment was pinned to the top and was liked tens of thousands of times. In the dressing room, the agent whispered in Han Yueyao's ear, Yao, shall we use this opportunity to hype up your relationship with Yuan Bo? It'll make your popularity skyrocket. It's a rare opportunity. More importantly, he's interested in you and your fans are willing to accept it. Chapter 4172. Hearing her agent's suggestion, her face fell. Sis, you know me. I don't want to take advantage of other people's popularity. But I think Yuan Bo is really interested in you. He's not trying to make things up for nothing. What are you afraid of? It's because he's sincere that I can't take advantage of him. It's shameless to trample on other people's sincerity. I'd rather not be famous than be shameless. She rarely lost her temper with her agent or assistant. She didn't mind working a little harder. But when it came to principles, Han Yueyao didn't show any mercy. Her agent was embarrassed. It's okay. Don't do it. I'm just giving you a suggestion. Her agent tried to smooth things over with a smile. Suyu finished his work in the morning and was going to have a quick lunch in the employee cafeteria. But he received a WeChat message from Chin-Chu. Do you want to have lunch together? Suyu wondered if it was really Chin-Chu's tone. Why did it sound like he was going on a date with him? You're Chin-Chu, right? Did someone hack your WeChat message? Suyu typed a reply. Chin-Chu, do you want to say something to me? Suyu wasn't sure and was afraid it was a prank. But judging from his profile picture and WeChat moments, he knew it was Chin-Chu. But why did he sound like, it's me? 3 seconds later, Chin-Chu sent a voice message. It was only 1 second with 2 words and it was extremely clean and concise. Now Suyu was no longer suspicious. He immediately asked, "Hey, where do you want to eat?" Anywhere. Suyu, do you want to eat Hunan cuisine? Suyu asked tentatively. Chin-Chu quickly agreed to Suyu's suggestion. After all, meeting was the most important thing. Eating was second. After all, the 2 men weren't close and wouldn't eat just for the sake of eating. Suyu sat down in the staff cafeteria. After making a reservation on WeChat, he stood up and walked out again. They bumped into Han Yueyao, who came to eat. President Su, are you here for dinner? Han Yueyao wasn't embarrassed at all and spoke in a formal tone. All right. Seeing that Suyu was about to leave, Han Yueyao hurriedly made way for him. From the outside, the relationship between the 2 of them was very normal and not strange at all. On the other hand, it felt awkward looking at the 2 of them. When they walked out and asked, President Su, Miss Han is a tough woman with a strong heart. Agreed. Suyu nodded while playing with his car keys. I think with your personality you need a woman with a strong heart as your wife. What? Did Han Yueyao bribe you? Suyu chuckled. No. Miss Han is so stingy. She doesn't even want to spend money on herself. How could she bribe me? I'm just being honest. Hurry up and go upstairs. Go wherever it's cool. I'm going to eat, I'll drive myself. What about me? President Su? I'll give you 3 hours off. You can wander around a university and see if you can pick up a girl. Chapter 4173. The private room upstairs in the Hunan restaurant was very exquisite. Chin-Chu arrived a few minutes early and was in room 8. When Suyu went upstairs, he was actually feeling nervous. After all, he had taken the initiative to talk to Chin-Chu before, but he was rejected. Now he was looking for him again. Was he in the mood to criticize him? Was he scolding him for the lost child? Or was it because he had paid for Huamin and bought so many things? Suyu's heart was in a mess. To be honest, after returning from Yunnan this time, he felt that the atmosphere was strange. He couldn't tell exactly what was strange. He only knew that there was always an indescribable feeling. It was very strange. When Suyu entered the door, he saw Chin-Chu making tea with his head lowered. You're here. Sit down. You order. Please note that Chin-Chu's words were not a question but a statement. Suyu took off his coat and sat across from Chin-Chu. Then he picked up the menu. Is there anything you want to eat? Suyu asked Chin-Chu. I'm fine with anything. Fuck. I give up. You're a total Buddhist. I'm fine with anything. Tea was sweating. You order. Chin-Chu slowly poured Suyu a cup of tea and pushed it in front of Suyu. Waiter order. Suyu didn't stand on ceremony. Seeing that Chin-Chu said he was fine with anything, he decided to order a few things that he liked. Everyone who came to the Hunan restaurant knew that spicy food was the best. Just like Sichuan cuisine, chili was the most famous. The waiter came in respectfully with an ordering device in his hand. President Su, please tell me. I'll take note of it for you. Steamed fish head with diced hot red peppers, home-style tofu, Hunan-style stir-fry, sautéed bacon with dried tofu, spicy lotus root slices, Hunan tujia fish. Suyu ordered 6 dishes in one go. President Su, we're almost done. We have a lot of dishes here. It's enough for you and President Qin. We've already ordered 6 dishes. The waiter kindly reminded him. Suyu nodded and closed the menu. Make us another soup. Westlake beef soup. Okay, President Su, what do you want for the main course? Let's wait for the main course. Chin-Chu, do you want to drink? How can you drive after drinking? Chin-Chu glanced at him. You can call a designated driver or a chauffeur to pick you up, Suyu said with a swagger. Then you don't have to attend the meeting in the afternoon. Do you want to go back to the office to sleep? You win. Waiter, bring 2 bottles of mineral water and rice for the main course. Okay, President Su. Seeing that Chin-Chu wasn't interested in drinking, Su simply didn't order any alcohol and ordered 2 bottles of mineral water. After the waiter left, the room was dead silent. Chin-Chu was famous for his awkward silence. His words were less than a quarter of Su-Yu's. Therefore Su-Yu regretted not bringing in. After all, he didn't like awkward conversations. Just as he was thinking about what to say, Chin-Chu spoke first. How's the company recently? Oh, not bad. Don't tell me you're here to borrow money from me? Su-Yu asked deliberately. Do you think you have more money than me? Where did you get your confidence from? Chin-Chu glanced at Su-Yu speechlessly. I don't think I have less money than you. Do you want to compare bank balances? Boring. Su-Yu. Chin-Chu, don't tell me you're here to have dinner with me today. Of course not. So what's our theme today? Su-Yu felt that he couldn't hold it in any longer. How many times have you seen Mion since you came back from Yunnan? Are you misunderstanding something? There's nothing between me and Huamin. You don't have to explain. That's not what I want to ask. Just answer my question. About 2 or 3 times. Su-Yu tried hard to remember. Do you think she's the same as before? What do you mean? Su-Yu looked at Chin-Chu in confusion. He barely ate a bowl of rice, but Su-Yu had a good appetite. Chin-Chu, I heard from Mion that you two aren't on good terms recently. She even told you that. You can't blame her. She felt wronged and complained to me. I think you've been together for so many years, you know best what kind of person she is. You shouldn't misunderstand her. You'd rather misunderstand me and think that I have bad intentions than misunderstand Mion. I've been with Mion since high school. I know my wife better than anyone else, Chin-Chu said word by word. Chapter 4175. That's why you shouldn't treat her like that. She even talked about divorce. How serious do you think it is? Su-Yu tried to persuade Chin-Chu out of kindness, hoping that they could talk things out. Divorce? Did she tell you that? Chin-Chu sneered. Of course she didn't mean it. Maybe you pissed her off, I think, Su-Yu explained. I think so. You're a man. Regardless of whether she's right or wrong, I think you should apologize to her. Mion hasn't had it easy all these years. Let me say something, but don't think I'm being nosy. Mion raised the twins by herself and helped you manage GK while taking care of the kids for more than 3 years. It was really hard. Although Tang Chuan, Xiaowei and I took care of her, we couldn't really help her with the details. She still had to rely on herself. It's not her fault that the kids are gone. As I said, it's my fault. It was because she saved me, so I hope you won't take it out on her. I won't take it out on you. Mion saved you because she discussed it with me. I won't dwell on it. Then why is your relationship so strained recently? Maybe it's because Mion's been very fragile recently. I'll talk to her when I have time. Yeah, I think so too. Why can't you talk things out with her? Okay. Chin-Chu's attitude was very good. He nodded no matter what Su-Yu said. After dinner, Chin-Chu left first. Before he left, he didn't forget to remind Huamian, don't forget to pay the bill. Didn't you treat me? Su-Yu froze. Didn't you just say that you think you're richer than me? So, I'm giving you a chance. Damn. Chin-Chu, you evil capitalist. Su-Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Who would have thought that the president of GK would go back on his word? Su-Yu, on the other hand, was in a good mood because Chin-Chu's actions proved that they had a good relationship. They didn't hate each other and trusted each other. After all, they were in the mood to joke around. Waiter, the bill. President Su, the total is 680 yuan. Here. Su-Yu took out a few $100 bills and handed them over. Then he took out his phone from the private room and posted it on his WeChat moments. Everyone come and watch. President Chin said he would treat me to dinner, but he ran away first and left me to pay the bill. What a scam. I think I should go to his house tonight and take a blue and white porcelain to vent my anger. Chin-Chu unreasonably commented below. If President Su doesn't mind the imitation, feel free to hug her. Su-Yu replied to Chin-Chu, fine, you're ruthless enough. In order not to let me take advantage of you, you even replaced the porcelain bottles at home with imitation ones. Tang Chuan, Ha, brother-in-law is mighty and domineering. Suyu replied to Tang Chuan, who the hell are you with? Tang Chuan replied to Suyu, ever since I got married I've been a member of the Qin family. Even if I die I'll still be a ghost of the Qin family. Suyu replied to Tang Chuan, shameless, wait until I see you. Pudding commented, my daddy has been a bit free lately. I rarely see him running orders. Handsome Su, you're in luck. Suyu replied to Pudding, why does that sound so wrong? So whose side are you on? Pudding commented, handsome Su, if you're willing to buy me a dirty bag, I'll pretend to be on your side. Suyu was speechless. Pretend? Pudding, come out. I'll give you a good beating. You still want to pretend when I buy you a dirty bag? It's obvious that we're plastic flowers. Pudding replied, ha, you're wrong. We're not plastic flowers. We're glass shards. Suyu replied to Pudding, little brat, you want to hit me when I'm down? I'll tell Buyan that you went to have dessert with your school idol last Wednesday after school. Chapter 4176. Because of Qin Chu's attitude, Suyu felt that Qin Chu and Huamin's relationship would definitely improve. Therefore he was in a good mood and posted on his WeChat moments, which was rare. Han Yueyao also liked it in time. Then she commented, I have a bold guess. President Su, you really love President Qin. You're good to Sister Mian because you want to take the opportunity to get close to President Qin. Suyu replied to Han Yueyao, do you dare to tell me where you are now? I'll save you so that I can beat you to death. Han Yueyao replied to Suyu, ha, sure. The third door of the women's washroom next to the performance department on the third floor. Bring me a roll of toilet paper when you come. I want the good quality ones. Thank you. Suyu replied to Han Yueyao. Without the burden of an idol, Han Yueyao kissed Suyu and confessed her love to him domineeringly. She had already become a happy little clown. However, this was the best outcome. She wouldn't make things difficult for Suyu and wouldn't get hurt. Just like before, they got along happily. On the other hand, Qin Chu thought about a lot of things after returning from the Hunan restaurant. Then he sent someone to pick up the grandfather and granddaughter who had taken in Huamin and the others to take refuge in the mountains of Yunnan. After doing all this, Qin Chu suddenly sent Huamin a video call. Huamin was drinking cocktails and enjoying the scenery on the rooftop of a luxurious hotel owned by GK. Unlike the real Huamin, Layla was a person who enjoyed life. She couldn't keep herself cooped up in South Hill Manor every day. To Huamin it was a warm home. To her it was an exquisite cage. Therefore she took the opportunity to argue with Qin Chu to come out and buy all kinds of things. She even drank alone on the rooftop. Everyone knew that she was the chairman's wife, so they treated her with extra care. She still lived a life of being surrounded by stars. After accepting Qin Chu's video call, Huamin called out sweetly, honey, where are you? Qin Chu asked indifferently when he saw that Huamin's back didn't look like a home's furnishings. I'm at our family's hotel. It's too boring to be alone, so I came to get some fresh air and have something to eat. Do you want to join me? No need. I just want to ask you something. What is it? So you mentioned to me today that when you guys were running for your lives in Yunnan, you seemed to have met some kind of benefactor. He even said that you were going to bring that person back. Is that true? Huamin was momentarily stunned. Then he immediately searched his mind for the information that Qin Chu had mentioned. Oh, there's such a thing. I almost forgot about it. Who are they? Where do they live? Give me their address and I'll send someone to pick them up. After all, you promised to do this, so don't let Suyu do it. It's not good. Hey honey. But I'm drinking and I'm a little dizzy. I'll think about it later and send you the information, okay? Your memory wasn't so bad in the past. Even if you were drunk, you would remember everything. What's wrong with you now? Qin Chu stared at her with a sharp gaze. Layla felt very guilty. Then she said coquettishly, honey, maybe it's because I was too shocked this time. Maybe it's because of the explosion. All right, tell me when you remember. That's all. With that, Qin Chu hung up the phone. He knew that this would be the outcome. After Suyu mentioned this matter, he was even more certain that if it was the real Mian, she would never forget such a big thing. Huamian was someone who knew how to be grateful. Therefore, this fake Huamin was starting to give herself away. How long would it take to reveal her true colors? Qin Chu began to look forward to it. He had to tear off this woman's disgusting disguise. Chapter 4177. After hanging up the phone, Layla felt that something was wrong. Logically speaking, Chin-Chu liked Huamin very much. She had read a lot of information about them. She also shared a lot of common memories with Huamin. However, Chin-Chu didn't look like a man who loved her deeply at all. Ever since they came back from Yunnan, they hadn't slept in the same bed. No matter how coquettishly she tried to make up with him, he didn't even do anything intimate. Chin-Chu was still cold. He even subconsciously avoided her actions. Had she been discovered? That was impossible. Layla thought she had pretended well and imitated Huamin's charm very well. No one could see through her. Now 002 had disappeared without a trace. As for her, when she left, she had boasted to her master. She had said that she would get videos or photos of Chin-Chu being intimate with her. Therefore, she didn't dare to contact the headquarters. President Chin, don't force me. If I can't have you, I'd rather destroy you than let Huamin have you. On the rooftop, Layla smiled wickedly with a cocktail in her hand. At the headquarters of Imperial Star, Han Yueyao didn't expect to meet Yuan Bo here. So she was very surprised. Hello, my tough girl. Why are you here? Huh. I have a photo shoot with your company. What a coincidence, right? I saw you on a business trip this morning. Yeah. I flew here to see you this afternoon. Did you miss me? Yuan Bo liked to tease Han Yueyao. Especially after their last cooperation, they had been interacting with each other frequently. However, Han Yueyao didn't reply to him much. Sometimes he would tag her on Weibo. Han Yueyao would reply a few times, but this guy seemed to be haunting her. I missed you so much that I almost forgot about you. Huh. It's okay. I'll try to visit you every week. That way you won't forget me. Big brother, I beg you. Please let me go. Han Yueyao felt a headache coming on when she heard that they would see each other once a week. Call me hubby and I'll consider letting you go. Yuan Bo was probably used to flirting with girls, so his words were quite bold. For Han Yueyao, she didn't even dare to think about being called husband so intimately. So he punched Yuan Bo in embarrassment. Don't talk nonsense. Hurry up and get back to work. I'm not busy. Your company's photographer hasn't arrived yet. I can take this opportunity to catch up with you. What happened? I heard that you took the initiative to visit your boss the other day and got rejected? Huh. Yeah. So what? Han Yueyao was still confident. Why don't you look for me? You'll definitely be satisfied with my service. Plus, I don't mind being flat-chested. After all, I have a pretty face. Damn you, filthy king, your words are too dirty. I can't talk to you anymore. No, I'm leaving. Han Yueyao looked for a chance to run. Han Yueyao. I'm in love with him. Do you want to date him? Talk your ass. I don't have an uncle. I'm the only male in the family. You can only choose me. Fuck off. Han Yueyao covered her face and ran away quickly. This guy's level wasn't something ordinary people could accept. Han Yueyao thought she was thick-skinned, but she was still bullied away by Yuan Bo. Looking at Han Yueyao's fleeing figure, Yuan Bo smirked. Yuan Bo smiled mischievously. Big Yao Yao is such a nice girl. I really want to sleep with her. Hearing his words, his agent looked disdainful. Sleep with her? So be it if you want to sleep with her. You're playing tricks on me. At the gate of the elite school in the city, the twins walked out hand in hand and saw Su Yu's car parked at the gate. They were instantly delighted. Chapter 4178. Handsome Su, you really came to pick us up. That's great. Little Bean's words were always more important than puddings. To take care of the twins' comfort, Su didn't drive a sports car to show off. Instead, he bought a new Audi A8L and drove the car himself. The twins got into the car under the envious gazes of their classmates. Su even prepared vanilla ice cream for the twins in the back of the car. Little Bean's eyes almost fell out when she saw the ice cream. Wow, there's ice cream too. Handsome Su, I'll give you 32 likes. Your mommy doesn't allow you to eat ice cream, right? You can only eat it a few times at home, so you can occasionally be presumptuous here. Su smiled as he drove. Mommy has been extra generous recently. She lets us eat ice cream, Little Bean pouted. Oh, that's impossible. Your mommy is so old-fashioned. She uses the medical knowledge she learned to emphasize that we can't eat this, that, and that there's too much junk food and it's unhealthy. Suyu obviously didn't believe it. Pudding said, "It's true, handsome Sue. Mommy doesn't stop us from eating ice cream anymore." That good? I don't know. Anyway, Mommy seems to be different from before. Pudding was worried at the mention of her mommy. Hey, don't think too much. Your mommy is in a bad mood. We all understand. She'll be fine after a while. Suyu had always thought that Huamin's abnormalities were understandable because of this incident. On the way, Suyu chatted intimately with the twins. Until they arrived at the Su family's mansion. It was rare that Lord Su and Mr. Su were both here. As soon as the twins entered the house, they had a lot of fun. Even South Hill Manor didn't seem so lively. Chin Chu didn't tell anyone that Bella was injured and hospitalized. He was afraid that too many people would talk and complicate things. After all, Chin Chu wanted everyone to have too much contact with this fake Huamin. She was an extremely dangerous person. Especially when Suyu talked about what happened that day and Chin Chu's analysis that this woman was the golden-masked woman. Therefore, the twins did not know that their aunt was in a vegetative state. She just happily ate at the Su family's house. During the banquet, Lady Su pulled her son aside. I want to talk to you about something. Go ahead, Mom. Do you know the young boss of Chuangxing Technology? Xia Guangyu. Yes, he used to be my classmate in high school. Yes, Xia Guangyu. His mother and I have a good relationship. Recently, she has been asking me to introduce girls to her. So? Suyu looked at his mother. I think Yao Yao is not bad. Are you going to introduce a boyfriend to her? Suyu asked directly. Yeah, aren't you Yao Yao's boss? If you agree, I'll ask her. Sure, I'm fine with it as long as she agrees. Suyu readily agreed. This was contrary to Lady Su's thoughts. She didn't really want to introduce a boyfriend to Han Yueyao. She just wanted to see her son Suyu's jealous expression. However, he didn't. Why did you agree so readily? Lady Su was displeased. What else can I do? Are you happy that I rejected you? Suyu smiled. Don't you feel uncomfortable that I'm introducing a boyfriend to Yao Yao? Lady Su finally couldn't help but ask her son. Mom, what's wrong with your question? Why would I feel uncomfortable that you're introducing a boyfriend to Han Yueyao? Suyu looked innocent. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.